I want people to look at those pictures and say, wow.
Lovely. Oh, now the sun comes out. Thanks.
Done it again then.
Yeah, let's go one more with the sun out.
I'm Dan Milner. I'm a professional photographer.
I'm Scott Loughlin, professional mountain biker.
We've taken 2 days to get to this spot. It was over 2,000 meters of carrying bikes, so let's see if we can get this one to work.
The adventure always starts with the river crossing.
Kind of between these next two, but coming towards Skudar.
Every time I went from side to side, I'd hit one side of the of the railing, and I was like,
Could have
oh
been an early
man.
bath, couldn't it?
Don't tell anyone I told you that Dan Milner is the king of hike-a-bike. So Dan Milner, a well-known photographer, he set up this route, which I was pretty happy about. I love being in that environment of being out there, pushing yourself.
It's about where I am going to find those amazing places to shoot pictures, because unless I come back with the pictures that are going to turn heads, it just feels like I've just done it for myself.
It's just absolutely insane, the places that bikes take you, just out of this world. Glaciers, rivers, forests, rocks, mountains.
You know me. I'll always give you the little challenge.
Yeah, I don't want to make it easy.
Nailed it.
After the rock. And I'm shooting it big landscape. Little tiny you. Insignificant you.
This is looking good, like that little point there.
And I want to share those pictures with people and have them in awe of what we've done.
Can't beat a bit of fresh mountain water. Did you say you're hot, mate? You're still warm.
Well, that's actually really nice.
Oh, it is nice, isn't it? The terrain, well, first day of the hike-a-bike, I think it was a little bit underestimated or over-ambitious.
Call them butterflies, they're actually also known as shitting yourself. Whose idea was this?
You made the route, mate.
Careful, Daniel! Photo?
Like, yeah, I think photo just... I mean, looking back onto that glacier.
That is a banger. Yeah, well spotted. Down with that. Just lovely. All right. I've no idea when he's coming. So what you're saying is I messed it up. Okay. I mean, I knew it was going to be there, didn't I? I come around here.
Out of the saddle and pedaling, starting to turn into the trail.
It's great to be able to share that stuff with people and let them see perhaps how far a bike can take you, but mostly kind of drive them to get on their bikes themselves and go and find their own kind of adventure, go and find their own rides into the mountains and where it can take you sort of metaphysically. It's about getting in there and just seeing what happens. And if you've got a good crew with you, it's not as bad as it might seem. It's an awful lot of effort, but there's a lot of trust starts building quite early. When things start to be challenging, you start to rely on each other. You know, that could be things like coming to a river and needing to pass bikes across because you can't get across with your bike. Pretty soon became clear that the route I had in mind, which I thought we could probably ride most of it, was pretty much a carry of the bikes virtually the whole route, with some incredibly sketchy cliff faces to get around.
Well, this has turned into an epic.
A little bit tired.
I'm feeling it, my legs are tired, sweaty, ready for some good grub at the refuge.
Up there, just a little up around that and then to go across and then up into it.
Just another day on a bike, bro.
The route just to reach the refuge, which was the easy bit of this two-dayer, actually became I don't even remember. It took us so long, it felt like 6 days. I think it might be something like 8 hours.
Trying to go across onto the trail. We managed to capture a little bit of sunset gold on the way up. Beautiful mountains, big peaks, glaciers, and you're just in that environment where it was wild. There's nothing around. We eventually made it to the Refugio. Very hungry, and we're well welcomed. Cooked an amazing Italian meal, which, well, as my granny used to say, hunger is the best sauce. And I'd eaten anything that night. I was starving by that point.
One of the reasons I will quite often choose to stay a night on the mountain, especially at a bivouac or a refuge, is that there's a bit of trail or something's going on straight out the door that you can get to.
The sun's going to come up right there. Yeah. And I'm thinking, like, I really want to get some silhouette-y stuff. We've got this little ridge, there's a trail right here below us. We can shoot some off. And then we can head up to that bit we came down yesterday. And then we might be able to get some breakfast. After that. I'm absolutely starving. I'm asking you to perform a bit of magic here, because there's not a lot of shape to be had. But I know that when the light pops, you're going to be like straight against it, so it's going to be totally backlit, silhouetted. That's my plan. We'll just rally it a few times and see how it's working. But it's like 5 meters after the rock, really. Right here. Let's try one now before the sun pops up. It looks pretty beautiful now. Yeah, have a look. I think it's good. I think that sort of sprint, because that's where you're coming. Ooh, no, don't do that. Don't format all. I'm just going to change from like going in tighter and then coming out wider. The sun does shine out of your arse, quite literally, in that photo.
So when I see a photo opportunity, I'm generally looking for an aesthetic in the photos. I'm very much about putting the action in context of the environment. So I will be looking at a scene that I think tells a story of a mountain biker in a big mountain environment, and I'll look for elements that are going to bring that together.
Just what you want is a bit of interval training straight after like 1200 meter hiker bike yesterday, and getting up before breakfast.
7 o'clock alarm has just gone off. Good morning! Little sprint session to start the day off.
That's the shot, that's the one.
Beautiful morning, little ridgeline here. Dan wants me just to try and push into something. There isn't much there. There's actually an upslope, so I'm gonna push to kind of preload to then rise up to get the right body language, hopefully. Okay? Just to confirm, this tuft here is where I'll start my manual.
That was much better than pushing down into the dip that didn't exist. Well, he's a bit frantic because we had a race in the light, and I know in like 20 minutes this light is just going to completely change, and in an hour we're just done.
Generally, I'm looking for golden hour. I'm looking for early morning, late evening stuff where it's got an incredibly powerful aesthetic because of the light. And the challenges of that are that we can have to drag ourselves from bed really early before sunrise and try and get out the door and set up a shot and freeze waiting for the sun to rise. Now what ends up happening is that shoot, instead of being 10 minutes, it tends to last an hour and a half, and then you've got to run back to make breakfast in time.
You've earned your dry bread and jam at the refuge now.
We're out at 6 o'clock, waiting for sunrise. We've just finished at 8 o'clock, no breakfast yet, hungry. If I see a photo, I can instantly say, no, I don't like that. I want it to be more like this, and it might be that the photographer has to change their angle, or as the rider, I have to think about how I can make it look a little bit more aggressive or a little bit more fluid, or actually be like, ah, that's a rock right there, where I'm going to get that from.
Cappuccino in the sun.
I wouldn't say no to 5 more of these.
Andiamo ragazzi.
Should we go? Firstly, as a rider, what the photo does for me is it marks a memory. It gives me something to look back on an epic journey and think, wow, I can't believe how good that was. And secondly, in that photo, I want to capture my riding style, how I'm looking on the bike, how I'm feeling, what that environment is like. I'd say I'm a flowy rider. I like riding in that alpine terrain, so shooting in the Alps really shows that off. We're at 3,000 meters. Definitely feel a lack of oxygen compared to being down in the valley, and it's just cool being up here. I mean, it's a whole new experience. The gear, the equipment that you've got to carry, and just riding in that environment and managing yourself is super important. We're at pretty much what will be our last point of water before the bivouac tonight, so I'm gonna stop here, drink a whole pile, refill, and then we should be prepped for the next 24 hours of being complete wilderness. On the second day, we started off at the Refugio. Started with a nice bit of trail that you could actually ride for a little while, and then it was hike a bike up to Col, which was absolutely stunning. We passed a herd of ibex who were all just kind of bathing in the sun, enjoying the Italian lifestyle, and then we carried on up. Got pretty tricky at times with the bikes on the back again, getting through some avalanche debris.
Yep. Like a little man wandering the hills on his own.
Getting through some glacial debris, and then eventually we got the first sight of our bivouac, which is where we're going to be staying the next night.
3,400 meters up, perched above a glacier and above our overnight bivouac.
And from there down, it was a bit like riding on the moon or something. These big chunky sections of rock. It was technical. I actually had a pretty bad crash in there. Just reviewing some, well, unlucky but very lucky crash footage. Crashed here, just got pitched over the bars and these rocks and rubble, and luckily very much okay, but it could have been way, way worse. Just gonna sit here for 5, take in the views, and then carry on down to the bivouac.
I would try and put myself and the rider into locations that the light is amazing. There's a glacier in the background, just to work a lot of magic into one picture. And the logistics that go into that are quite intense, actually, to work out where to go, to work out when we're going to be there, how we're going to stay there, where we're going to sleep, what we're going to eat. Really, mostly on these things, you can plan it, and plan it. And it's only when you get out there into that environment and try and push through the route or the plan that you've made that you really find out if it's going to work.
Here we are.
Home, sweet home.
Off tonight. Alright.
Shotgun this one.
That one's a bit stained. So hey. What you really want to see is the vegan chorizo. Feel the weight. Don't you worry, I know I carried that.
Tonight, chef, we have spicy pork noodles, a complete dehydrated meal. This is going to cause some upset tonight, boys, I'm afraid.
Actually quite peckish. I things like this, you end up doing like a whole day on sort of like a bit of bread and jam for breakfast and then 2 or 3 energy bars. And by the time you get to this point, you're so flipping hungry. And for me, I just can't start seeing the photos. I can't see the creativity if I'm that hungry. 10 minutes away. Hot water bottle. Just make sure it's done up properly. Oh, the light. Beautiful. Wanted to shoot this late light and the sun's been hiding behind clouds for over an hour and we've probably got 5 minutes left of it before it disappears behind a peak. Right of that cairn. Oh, just as that light disappeared. So the shot would be, yeah, it's kind of there, isn't it? That's where you were slightly turning right.
Do you want this slab here now?
Yeah. That would be a really great place to sort of push in and change direction if we get the light back.
There's not really a trail in here. There's a lot of rock and it looks incredible. Beautiful backdrop. We had a little bit of light come through, so we abandoned everything that we had at refuge, ran up here, got a few times, but it's tricky. It's, you know, I think what Dan's really good at is spotting terrain, looking at the light and then seeing how something can work. So we're actually going to try a little climbing shot up here, which, you know, to the average person they'd probably never even look at or consider, but just the terrain actually makes it, and it is incredible out here. Just as I'd finished my dinner, Dan was starting his.
Down on the chana masala.
The sun popped out just from right behind there. We made a run to try and get a shot,
Which actually were really worth it.
we got something. Looks absolutely epic.
But I am left with lukewarm chana masala.
You got to go through some stuff to get to it. In a way, that's partly really rewarding in itself. Like the physical, mental challenges of getting ourselves just to the location to shoot the picture that I've got in mind can just be incredibly rewarding just in itself.
Oh, look at my feet, dude.
Quite short, aren't they?
I can't believe this was 500 euros a night. I'm pretty comfy.
This is fucking rad.
Slept quite well. Woke up a few times a little chilly. But overall, it was pretty comfortable. How's it looking out there?
There's lots of moisture in the... Yeah, there's lots of wispy light layers. But that way, where the sun's going to come up is pretty clear. I sort of felt like I was awake all night, but I feel alright, so I must have slept. Sort of planning, we can sort of get an idea of what time the sun's likely to come up, and then I run around before it comes up and work out where we're going to photograph from and where I'm going to make them throw some shapes on some awkward bits of rock. This is a bit of a short sprint in to throw any shape.
As they say, sometimes the worst bit of trail brings the best photos.
Considering what he's got to ride right now. Good job we're working with professionals.
It's pretty epic up there behind.
Yeah, this works great. That looks good. It looks good right where you are, and then as you peel that way, you straighten up and it looks quite natural. Bit there.
Yeah.
That's a bit too wide in that bit.
It'd be nice if we could get a little bit more lean in.
In this, on the first bit?
Yeah.
There it is! There it is! Right, we're on. Okay.
There's an enormous amount of pressure on, I think, especially on the rider, because I think for the rider to feel like if they're not making it work exactly how the photographer's pictured the image, then they're perhaps letting the photographer down in some way. There's a certain amount of tension builds at that point, and it pretty much just releases when you get the shot.
There's a
frame in there. Each one is slightly different.
Yeah.
So some of them have worked a bit earlier on, some of them your shapes look a bit nicer on the way out because it's such an irregular surface. It's really hard to predict it.
I wonder if we could get something, if we could use this as a little bit of a lip.
Certainly. If you want happy frying it.
I'm not going to go super fast, so I think I'll just have to pop and maybe get a little tweak on.
Doing what in that way?
Probably going kind of like that would be ideal.
Yeah, then I could shoot from this side and it would just present the bike a bit. If you want to look for this shot, if you want to drop the backpack,
through this, it's like really hard pedaling, and all the effort you're putting in, you're just losing.
You've got to have a relationship and trust, because you've got to know that they can get the shot, as well as that you can actually ride where they're wanting to position you, and that they can capture you at the right moment, whether that's the shape on the bike or the terrain that you're riding in, because some of the terrain that you are in is technical, it's challenging, and there can be limitations to that, because you don't want to take too many risks, especially when we're in the Italian Alps, in the middle of nowhere.
I am trying to get a shot that documents him leaving this little hut in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, it's quite a hard one because the trail's not a fun trail to ride. We're pretty tired and we've got up now again before sunrise. Haven't had any breakfast. And I definitely know that he's pretty tired. It's pushing him pretty hard right now. Those things coming together start to add a little bit of tension. You just sort of find a way through it and see what happens with that.
What are you thinking?
I just want that left turn. We've taken 2 days to get to this spot. It was over 2,000 meters of carrying bikes. So let's see if we can get this one to work. Yes, boss man. That's looking good.
I think the way that the environment of being in like the bivouac, for example, is just so epic. It's kind of one of those things that you only do a few times maybe in your life, and the experience of being there helps push you as an athlete to actually try and get that image a little bit better. And the fact that you've worked so hard to get to that location, it means that you do have that little bit of energy. Even when you're getting tired, you're hungry, you're fatigued, you can just push through it. You can work a little bit harder. You can go, right, we're going to do that one more time. You can run up at sunrise or sunset and be like, let's go again, let's get it cracked off. And I think that environment actually can almost be an enabler, a positive thing to actually push you a little further.
The weather's rolled in a bit quicker than was anticipated. A bit of thunderstorms, a little bit of rain coming. I think it's going to get worse, so we're getting off the hill pretty much as quick as we can.
We're halfway down the trail. Dan and I were laughing and joking and saying how much fun the trail was. We were soaked through and it was just incredible. And then we looked around and all of a sudden there's the biggest streak of lightning on the mountaintop above that just hit perfectly on the point of it. The crack of thunder. Just riding through this loamy forest, laughing as I'm following Dan and he's taking cheeky inside lines, going through technical sections, and I think those are the things that I'll just take away, because you know, you're just so caught up in that moment, and when you come home it feels like it's been a true journey. And you're thinking about, we were just there yesterday, but that feels like hours, it feels like days ago. It's just so wholesome and keeps me coming back for more. It keeps me searching for adventures, and those images mean more than just getting that perfect shot. They're a memory in itself.
occasionally you'll come across a place that has blankets, and then you fall asleep and you wake up in the morning, the blanket that's never been washed for 28 years is lying there straight on your face, and that's blanky face.